start with former Vice President Kamala Harris, who addressed a women's summit yesterday in California. The former Democratic presidential nominee, who lost to Trump in November, said the president's moves since he returned to office were largely predictable. Here's more of her remarks last night at the Leading Women Defined Summit. Quote, "There were many things we knew were going to happen. I'm not going to say, I told you so. We are seeing people stay quiet. We are seeing organizations stay quiet. We are seeing capitulating to clearly unconstitutional threats. Courage is contagious," end quote. Meanwhile, President Barack Obama also had words for the administration yesterday. Obama said that he doesn't think Trump's new tariff announcement is going to be good for America. He also added that his larger concern is what he described as the White House's infringement of rights, end quote. Tell us something we don't know. See, the problem is we always knew that. But no thanks to y'all as Democrats. Yes, you did say he was a threat to democracy. Yes, you did say, don't think that what he says is true, that it's going to happen. Yes, you did say, beware, beware, beware. You told us those things. But you still lived life allowing cancer culture and identity politics to be pervasive throughout our society. Y'all did that as Democrats. And then when people tried to tell y'all, and instead we tried to get y'all to focus on the concerns of the American people, the cost of living, inflation, etc., the borders, not open borders. Stop denying that 12 million plus people crossed the border illegally. When we told you to stop doing that, when we told you to pay attention to the price of eggs and cheese and bread and gas and stuff like that, even though you touched on it, the focus was making sure that you touched on the moral fabric and the moral compass of individuals to guilt us into voting for the Democratic Party. Meanwhile, Donald Trump and the folks on the GOP side spoke plain English. And I'm going to say something that isn't popular to say, but you know something, the Democrats need to hear this. Y'all are very, very fond of talking about how Donald Trump lies. Some of the things that have made people uncomfortable about Donald Trump, I got news for you. He hasn't lied. Didn't he say tariffs was what he was going to live by? Did he not say that he was going to close those damn borders? I believe he said that. Did he not say that he was going to address crime in our streets and things were going to get very, very bad for lawless individuals out there? Did he not provide indications that he could give a damn about the civil rights and the human rights of individuals that were considered lawless? Did he not say, or at least indicate, that come hella high water, the culture that we were living in, we were going to dial that back? Did he not talk about the LGBTQ plus community, specifically as it pertains to transgenders and athletes not being allowed to transition from male to female and be able to compete in women's sports? Did he not say these things? Well, yes, he did.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And that was the biggest difference between Democrats and Donald Trump, is he focused on the issues and they focused on him. I wonder what the Democrats are going to do once Donald Trump's 4 years are over with. Because they're still not focusing on the issues at hand. They're still trying to demonize Donald Trump and his policies, which is the exact same reason that lost them the elections. Instead of focusing on what the American people wanted change on, they, as Democrats, just started to focus on Trump and demonize Trump. The Trump derangement they thought was going to win them the elections, when in reality it actually backfired, because that basically derailed them, distracted them from actually focusing on the issues at hand, and instead they were talking about Donald Trump 24/7.
He did. Why am I bringing all of that up? Because for better or worse, most American people feel we know him. Even when he's lying, we know him. We know he's going to lie. We know there's some other things he's going to be honest about. We know he's going to be narcissistic. We know he's going to care primarily about himself and his name, and he's going to put that above all else in most instances. We know that he might not read the reports, whether it's involving national security or the economy or anything else. We know that he operates primarily off gut. We know that he puts people in their positions and their primary responsibility is to be loyal to him as opposed to being competent or qualified for their jobs. We know all of this, which means we know him. So what's the problem? We didn't know y'all as Democrats, because the Democratic Party and what it was customarily associated with, normally associated with, how it was supposed to be the party of the working class, you were throwing your own aside.
I hate how he does his political commentary because he can't just hold Democrats accountable for being bad. You notice he went on a tangent, almost a whole minute long tangent, talking about Donald Trump and demonizing Donald Trump. Right? He's trying to stay on the good side of the Democrats by saying, hey, look, I'm criticizing Donald Trump. I'm talking about Donald Trump. When in reality, he's only doing that so he could stay on their good side and still be allowed to criticize them at the same time. He's grifting. He's playing the game here. He's playing the whole both sides. This guy's a fake centrist. He's a closeted conservative who's doing what he's doing for money. That's all that it is, because he can't come out and openly say that he's a conservative and Democrats are just bad, and the GOP and the Republicans and Donald Trump are delivering on what they said. He can't just openly say that. He has to insert something bad about Donald Trump somewhere in there. That's why it almost felt like that 30-second, minute-long tangent that he just put in there talking bad about Donald Trump was put in there on purpose, right? Hey, make sure we have at least a minute long that we set aside to talk bad about Donald Trump while we're also criticizing the Democrats. This is BS.
Got themselves in a speck of trouble. You threw them to the wolves. You had Supreme Court justices refusing to answer questions as to whether or not they were a woman or define what a woman was, even though they were married with children. It's a whole bunch of ridiculous nonsense that was going around and going on with the Democratic Party. We're not blind to what's transpiring right now. We're not blind to the specter hovering over all of us and how dangerous times can be, how hardship seems imminent as it pertains to tariffs and beyond. We get what tariffs may cause, the problems that it may cause. Inflation, potential recession, we get all of that. But we also get that Donald Trump told us exactly what the hell he was going to do. And that not only did the vast majority of the American people still saw him closer to normalcy than we saw the Democratic Party, but because of that, regardless of his ways, Donald Trump is actually trusted more than y'all. He didn't hint towards misogyny for black men that could possibly vote against Kamala Harris. He didn't do that. He wasn't somebody that was scared to do interviews half the time and was at the mercy of people connected to her campaign instead of recognizing she was the Democratic nominee and she was supposed to be running the show and she was supposed to be the boss. You told us so? Yeah, you did. What you didn't do was tell us enough about you and what you would ultimately stand for. That's why he's the president. That's why the GOP is in control of the House and the Senate. And the Democrats on the outside looking in. Just thought I'd remind y'all of that before y'all went out there chirping about some of the things that are going on. He ain't right, but you're just as guilty as he is. You put him back in that White House because you forgot about your own, the chunk that really matters, not the fringes who are not going to give you an election. You did that, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah, so let's just stop it right there. Great points by Stephen A. A few points that absolutely made no sense whatsoever. But here's the thing. He has to do that, right? To stay on the good side of the Democrats so he can keep getting invited to their little parties, he has to criticize Donald Trump. right? Even when he's talking about the Democrats, he has to come out and insert something bad about Donald Trump just so he can come out and look like a centrist. But what he was saying as far as the American people trusting Donald Trump more than the Democrats is absolutely crazy to me. And that's only because you have nonstop 24/7 Trump derangement propaganda being spewed on the mainstream media every day, almost every single day. So how is that the American people trust Donald Trump more than they trust the Democrats? Well, that's because the Democrats don't have any credibility. They can't be trusted at all because for the last 4 years, they lied to us about everything. Every single thing that you can possibly think of, the Democrats lied to us. From Joe Biden's mental state to the state of the economy to the open borders, right? Even the derangement that they were displaying about Donald Trump, the Russia collusion, or even hiding the Hunter Biden laptop, the nonstop January 6th derangement that we heard all day, every day on the media, right? With all of these things, they still lost. Well, that's because the American people are not stupid. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. American people are not as stupid as the Democrats believe them to be. That's really what it is. We can see, most voters could see the writing on the wall and how bad the Democrats were doing because of just observation. Observation and people's personal experiences told them exactly what was going on. They didn't need to listen to the media tell them that, no, Democrats are good and Trump is bad, when they could see it for themselves and live it and experience it for themselves every single day, right? That's why Trump lost. That's why Trump won. And that's why they lost, because people are not stupid. I mean, I hate how the Democrats try to play the game as if like they are the only ones that can critically think well enough to tell people what to do, how to do it, when to think, or what to think, when to think, what to say, how to say it, all of that, right? They want to control every aspect of everybody's life. And that's really what backfired on them. And of course, like I said, focusing on Trump more than they actually focused on the issues at hand. And this is the advice that I have for Democrats. Let Donald Trump go. Let him go. Focus on the issues at hand that American people want you to focus on, and that will help you win elections. Because what are you going to do when Donald Trump is gone? He has 4 more years, and then what? Who are you going to rage about? The next Republican candidate? That's idiotic. So the next 4 years, focus on what you can do to change whatever you want to change about this country, about the economy, about the safety, about the border, all of that. Focus on those issues at hand. Let Donald Trump go. Because the more you focus on Donald Trump, the less credibility that you have. Because people already don't trust you when it comes down to your opinions about Donald Trump. So let Donald Trump go. Let him do what he's going to do. You can't get rid of him anyway. He's already elected. He's the president. He's going to be here for the next 4 years. There's absolutely nothing that you guys could do to get rid of this guy. So for the next 4 years, or even the midterms that you have coming up, the next 2 years, focus on the issues at hand, whatever you think that needs to be fixed, instead of Donald Trump. Let go of Donald Trump. Let go of everything that he's going to do, and just focus on your ideas, your policies, and making sure that those policies resonate with the American people. If you do not do that, and if all that you're going to do is focus on hating Donald Trump and demonizing the people that voted for him in half of the country, right? There's absolutely no hope for these people. There's no hope for you guys at all. You don't have to listen to me. Matter of fact, I hope you don't listen to me, because it's actually pretty good advice. But yes, right? That's what's going to help these people. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about what Stephen A. Smith had to say. Let's talk about this video in the comment section. Hit the like button down below. And of course, if you are brand new, consider hitting subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.